we're going to finish up these sleeves. So last video we had done one shell, but we had quilted the stripe, but not the front and the back of the sleeve. So now for this one, this is going to be a little more complex, but we're going to quilt the front and the back of the sleeve, and we're going to leave the stripe unquilted, just plain. So again, we want to make sure we have the three pieces that match, and the way you can tell is that if you're looking at the face, there's an upward curve going towards the back of the collar, and so this would be the left side, and that should line up with a little bit of a upward trend in the back and sort of flat in the front. So these three go together, and then these three go together. All right, so now we're going to cut the batting to match this single panel, and then we're going to quilt this. Okay, so we've got our batting laid out. We're going to use these map weights to try to keep it flat. We're going to make use of our previous cut for the stripe, where we know it's already straight, and we're going to line that up with this piece. And again, we're just going to give ourselves just the tiniest little bit of margin and use our map weights to hold it in place, like so. Okay, now we're going to use our roller knife to cut along the pattern, on the outside of the pattern, just about maybe a 1/16 of an inch outside. Just have a little bit of, tiny bit of overlap. I'm going to cut through that little extra piece right there. Then all the way to the corner, and then change directions. Okay, and now cut the end. Okay, we might come in with some scissors just to square that out. Okay, so now we've got our pattern piece and the batting, and we're going to clip this together and start sewing it up. Okay, I'm going to start by clipping the extremes first, so to get the extreme edges lined up. So that corner, this end, this corner, then this one. This way, ideally, it stays even if we get the extremes first. Okay, so those are the extremes, and then we're going to come back and we'll start doing the middles. So get it spaced out. Put a clip in the middle. And then do that all the way around. So sort of like ends, middle, and then start adding until you've got about a clip, like maybe every couple inches. All right, so do that, and I'll meet you on the other side. Okay, just a little side note for the spacing on these quilted diamonds here. So I've gone with about a 2-inch spacing between stitch rows, and then you notice that these are not like exact squares. I've gone more with like a harlequin diamond, and it looks to me like, you know, it's not exact, but these diamonds are like anywhere from like 55 to like 65 degrees. So I'm just going to call it like a 60-degree diamond here, with a 2-inch spacing, so just for reference. Okay, so we put our quilting foot back on, and you can see we're here at 2 inches. And we've got all of our clips around the edges. Alright, so we're going to start by following the existing seam line, and that's going to be our starting point for this, our initial pass. So we want to get this straight, and then we're just going to sew right down this seam line to start. Okay, back tack. I'm just going to follow that line. Alright, we're almost to the end here. Back tack and then cut. Alright, so that's our first line. And with our bar here, we're going to start working our way, pulling this out this way. So this, using this, that line we just made, we're going to line that up with our bar and then start going this way. So our next pass is right here, like so. Okay, we're getting towards the end here. Once the bar is off, we're just going to sort of have to estimate what a straight line would look like when we get to the end. And then we're going to do our back tack and cut. Okay, so continue to do this all the way to this end, and then we'll meet you on the other side, because then we're going to flip it over. Okay, we're at the last one here. Okay, there's a little bit of material here. You know what, I might just put a little tack here just to hold that. Okay. All right, now we're going to flip it. We're going to work our way back from our center line, but to this side now. So same thing, but now you're going, we've already done this, so we're going center line out. Okay, we're at the very end of this, and we're going to just put a little tack just to make sure that this is held in place at the corner. Okay. All right. So now we've done all of these lines. Also, at this point, we can just take off all of our clips, because the batting is going to be held in place enough now, and then we're going to do our crossways lines to make the diamonds. Okay, I'd mentioned earlier we looked at that example where the diamonds, you know, it's more of a Harlequin thing where it's not exactly square, it's more of a diamond shape. And we had measured that angle of the diamond to be somewhere between like 55 and 65. I think it was a little bit bigger on the sleeve, but if we look at if we take our compass here and we look at what we got, in this position we're about 65, about 65 degrees. And I think I'm going to go with that, or maybe even a little less, or a little more, because that way it keeps it from, we don't want this to be like just straight on this line. That's going to look a little bit weird. We want like a slight angle. So I'm going to go with like a 65-70 degree on this one. Okay, I'm going to deliberately start a little bit off to this side where I have a shorter line, just to get that first line started, as opposed to trying to start on a really long line. So we're just going to start, we're going to do a line like right here, so it's only going to be like maybe 6 inches. That's going to be our first line. Okay, I'm just trying to keep it straight. back tack and cut. Okay, now every other line is going to key off of this one, so we're just going to put a little tack in this corner. Then we're going to flip it. And same as we did before, it's just that now this is our indicating line, and then every line is going to be going this way. All right, so I'm going to do that, and we'll meet you at the end. Just one more note. Notice that because this line is really short, every other line is going to be longer than that, so you're going to have to sort of make a judgment of where this is going to land, and then move it back until you have your starting point. But once you get your starting point, make sure that this is lined up. So it's just a little bit of an estimate until you get to this, because each of these is going to be longer than this starting one. Last pass on this. Alright, right about there. Okay, so this is the top of the sleeve. This is where the stripe's going to be. So this is what our back half of the sleeve is going to look like. So we're going to do the same thing again, but with the front part of the sleeve, and this is the left, and then we're going to do the right. So we have to do 3 more of these. Okay, so do that, and we'll meet you back to the point where we're going to put the stripe in. Okay, now that we've quilted the front and back of the sleeves, we now are going to attach the stripe. And again, this is the face side, so the stripe we want is the one that is going up slightly to the back, because this is the back and this is the front. So this is the stripe we're going to put on. So we'll clip this up and take it over to the sewing machine. Okay, the first part of this is going to be the same as we did on the other set of sleeves. We're going to make sure we have the right piece, and then we're going to go face to face. And this is a 5/8 seam allowance, and then we're just going to clip this all the way down. Okay, I usually start at one end, clip one end, then clip the other, and then do a middle, and then sort of work your way so we have about a clip roughly every 2 inches or so. Okay, do that, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, so I misspoke a little bit there in that last one. This one, the pattern piece is correct, but remember on this other shell, this one actually is, for some reason, is a little bit long. So when you clip this, not necessarily this one, but when you do the next one, it's more critical to get the upper side by the collar correct. So start here and then start working your way down. That's going to be better, because there's just because there's some kind of error that we need to troubleshoot in the pattern. But anyway, it can be off at the cuff side, because if it's off, we're just going to cut straight across after it's all assembled. All right, now we're going to start sewing up. Okay, again, it's a 5/8 seam allowance. I've got my clips set up so they're about 1/8 inch in, so they'll go under without interfering with the foot. And I have this little saw pattern here as an indication that if my batting for some reason was out too far, that saw pattern actually gives me an indication of where that line is supposed to be, in case the batting is covering that up. All right, anyway, start at the top with a back tack. And again, this is the piece that I wouldn't normally do the batting on the top, but we want this to be more accurate here, which is why I'm doing it from this end instead of the other. Okay. All right, so let's continue on. All right, I'm going to keep doing this, and we'll see you at the end. Okay, we're at the end, and now we did our back tack and cut. All right, now we can take off all of these clips. Okay, all right, do that. Okay, all the clips are off. Now we're going to do our top stitch, similar to how we did before, but following our philosophy that the batting is being stiffer. We want the batting to stay straight. That means that our top stitch is actually going to be on the stripe this time, not on the sleeve. So same thing, except just the orientation is different. We're on the inside of the stripe instead of on the sleeve side. Okay. All right. And again, if the seam is here, we're lining it up with the left side of the foot. So we'll just get started. Back tack, and then just keep going, and then sort of like use some tension to keep that flat. Okay. All right. Do that, and I'll see you at the end. Okay. So we're at the end there. All right. So it's nice and flat. All right. We like that. Okay. Now we're going to do the other side. Similarly, these pieces go together, so we're going to do face to face. All right. So clip this. Again, remember, I had misspoke earlier, but we want to start at the top because we want this to be more accurate than at the cuff side. So we want to start at the top and then work our way down, like roughly every 2 inches. Okay. Okay, we've clipped this piece together, and we're going on the fabric side here, the batting side down. We still want this 5/8. It's also indicated by that that slash there. All right, we'll do our back tack. All right, and we just keep a little tension on this, and then we're just going to keep sewing all the way down, and then I'll see you when you get to the end. Okay, we're at the end here. Do a back tack. Okay, and again, any little offset here, we're going to just cut at the cuff once these are all put together. All right, take off all these clips, and then we'll do our top stitch. Okay, same thing. We'll open it up. And we'll line up our seam here. We're at the end, do a back tack. All right, top stitch looks nice, everything's nice and flat. All right, the next step is we're going to sew these sleeves up together to make tubes. Okay. Okay, we have both sets of sleeves. You notice there's a little bit of an optical illusion that this stripe looks wider than that, but it's because the top stitch is to the inside, but these two stripes are roughly the same width here. Yeah, it's just the way that it's folded. Okay, the next step is we're going to do face to face on this sleeve, so pin that and do the same with this. Pin these, and then we're going to stitch those together. Okay, I've got my sleeve pinned or clipped face to face, and this again is a 5/8 seam allowance. Now I'm going to start, this is the armpit, and I've pinned it from the armpit down because we want this part to be accurate. The cuff we can adjust later on the fly. Now when I start this, I'm actually going to start in 5/8 where the other seam, because we have 4 panels, the body panels front and back are going to all come into this same point. I'm going to start about 5/8 in to give me some flexibility with how I handle the seam of where the sleeve attaches to the body. So it keeps me from having to like undo the top of this seam. So we're going to start in a little bit, maybe 5/8 in, do our back tack, and then just keep going to go all the way down. And then notice that this is still a little bit open in the back there, okay? All right, go all the way down to the cuff, and I'll see you at the end. Okay, we finished that, so we can take off all of these clips, and then we'll do the other sleeve. We'll do the black sleeve, okay? Okay, now same thing with the other sleeve, 5/8 seam allowance. Again, at this armpit, I'm going to start. I want to leave a little bit of space here because we're not sure exactly how this is going to bind, but it's going to need to connect to 2 other panels, the front and back. So we're going to give ourselves some flexibility here, and we're going to start maybe 5/8. Okay, and then just keep sewing this, same as the other one, until you get to the cuff. Okay, here we're at the end. We'll do our back tack and cut. Alright, now you take off these clips, and then we'll invert it, and then we'll see how it looks. Okay, so we took off the clips, we inverted it, now we have 2 sleeves. Now is a good opportunity to get an early indication of what this is going to look like, and you could actually sort of mock this up and then try it on by taking invert one and then slide it into the other like so, and then line up the stripes and then just sort of clip it together at the cuff like so. And just so you know, this is, one is a right and one is a left, because when you invert it, they're going to be opposite. So do a left sleeve and a right sleeve of alternating colors. Okay. And then you can even clip it at the top as well. And clip it here. Okay, so now you have sort of a simulation of what the jacket's going to be. So when this is on the outside, this is the liner, and then you can invert it. Now this is what it's going to look like when this is outside and this is the liner. So my recommendation here is take this, just try it on in a mirror just to see how it looks. And this is sort of your last opportunity to make changes, because you have a minimal investment at this point with a sleeve. And if you don't like it, now's the opportunity to change colors before you waste more material. I think this one looks good, so I'm going to try that, and we're gonna keep moving on with this. All right, that's it for this video. That completes the sleeves, and then the next thing we'll be doing the body, applying the patches and the artwork to the body panels. All right, thank you for watching.